State your name for the record.
Jin Ursa.
Forgery of imperial documents, possession of stolen property, aggravated assault, resisting arrest.
On your own from the age of 15. Reckless, aggressive, and undisciplined.
This is a rebellion, isn't it? I rebel.
We have a mission for you. A major weapons test is imminent. We need to know what it is and how to destroy it.
Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
What will you do when they catch you? What will you do if they break you? If you continue to fight? What will you become?
Hi, everybody, and welcome once again to GeekFest Rants. My name is Carlos Perone, and joining me, I have James. Say hello, James.
Hello, hello.
Well, this is James's morning voice you're hearing, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, baby.
We don't usually hear his morning voice.
Hey, baby.
Hey, baby, we're going to spin some records for you, baby. How you doing? The reason why we are recording a show early in the morning, which we normally never do, usually when James and I record, it's usually around 10:30, 11:30, midnight, something like that. But this morning, they finally put out, they gave us the heads up yesterday, the Rogue One trailer, the official Rogue One trailer for the next Star Wars film. This is one of the offshoot films. It's called Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. You know, they keep tweaking. At one point, I remember they were kind of calling it Star Wars Anthologies or something like that.
I like the new name better.
So let's just dive into it because, you know, one of the things we kept hoping for, and again, this is a trailer, everything is beautiful on the trailer, but one of the things we kept hoping for is that the movie goes a little darker, becomes a little less happy, repetitive in a way, you know, which is one of the, you know, the comments that we used to have about Force Awakens. And if this trailer is any indication of what we're about to get, I think we're in a very good path for a, let's call it an Empire Strikes Back feel, a Marvel Civil War, Marvel Captain America Winter Soldier kind of feel, because I have a feeling this is where we're going with this movie. And based on this trailer, I think, you know, that's what we're going to get. And we're going to go shot by shot. How did you feel about it, James?
I had good feelings about this one. For some reason, there was little talk. They didn't need to hype it up. They're going to need to hype it up, obviously, as it gets closer to release. But it wasn't like the other one, and where that one had to have a machine getting people excited about Star Wars again.
Right.
So the fact that this one, they were keeping it quiet, made me feel like they might have had something working here. And the path that we've been watching, how, okay, Force Awakens, Rebels has been successful. The video games are kind of there's a little bit of excitement about some games. The Battlefront seemed a little heavy, you know, it seemed dark, and, you know, you can really kick some butt. I had a feeling there would be some butt kicking in this one. And so last night, I didn't know this was coming this soon. Last night we found out.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere.
This morning I woke up. A couple of friends, including you, had given me links, and I jumped right in, and this is my Star Wars. That's my answer.
Well,
I don't want to contradict myself, but I think I'm okay with Force Awakens with, you know, what I got, but it wasn't really, I wasn't in love with it. I have a feeling this one is, you know, going to really blow me away.
Well, let's give everybody a little background on the basics of what this movie's all about. From what I understand, unlike with most of the other stories, whether Lucas had a hand in kind of mapping them out or writing them, or if they could just hire, you know, freelance writers, this particular story came from John Knoll, who was one of the ILM, you know, head special effects guys who pitched the story to Kathleen Kennedy, you know, to the new regime of what about if we make a movie having to do with how the Imperial plans for the Death Star were stolen and gotten, before we see them on New Hope to the rebels.
I love that. I think that's awesome because I remember a Marvel comic probably from around late 83 or maybe it was even 84, and it involved how the Bothan spies that we hear about in Jedi were stealing and the mission and stuff like that. So while it's not quite like this, I do recall a comic story talking about getting the second Death Star plans and the, how it went and how, who got killed, things like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if the Bothans are also involved in this one.
No. This was a different. The Bothan spies were the ones who found
Jedi.
The Jedi. Yeah, I don't want to get too nerdy, but that made it cool to tie in how it doesn't just happen. It really, takes a team. It really takes, a lot of effort to make this happen. You don't just blow up a Death Star by, fluke.
The closest thing I've ever heard about any EU connection to how those plans were gotten, if you remember, James, I think we talked about it, was in the radio drama. They go into Leia arriving at a planet. She's there to make contact with somebody. Oh, yeah, we remember Vader screams. And she makes contact with somebody who gives her the location of where to get the plans or something like that. And that's how it jumps into Star Wars. But nowhere near, I think, what we're about to see here in terms of how big this is going to be. Again, let's go back a little bit. Like we said before, the writer or the person who came up with the story was John Knoll. The director is Gareth Edwards, who is the guy who just did Godzilla. And before that, he had done Monsters, a really cool independent sci-fi movie about these giant monster type of things. But Godzilla was like his next step up. And I think that's when they kind of realized, okay, he's a creative guy and he can handle a Hollywood movie. Let's give him the keys to the kingdom, more or less. The main character is played by Felicity Jones, who her claim to fame most recently, she's a British actress. She's done a lot of stuff. She's done some Doctor Who, from what I understand. We might know her from The Theory of Everything, that movie about Hawking. She played his wife a couple of years ago.
But I guess it was good.
And from what I understand, even though we haven't seen, I think, a head-on picture of him in this trailer, one of the main bad guys is Mads Mikkelsen, who just finished playing Hannibal in the television show.
He was a James Bond villain we talked about.
That's right. He always plays the creepy bad guy, very unusual looking guy, very cold and dark, kind of character. But the movie is also peppered with a cast of what would be considered, they kind of, to me, they kind of feel like the Dirty Dozen, more or less, or, it's like all these shady characters who could be thieves and, all kinds of characters like that, outlaws, that sort of thing, that they're put together to make, not in a Suicide Squad type of format, but more of a good guy, all outlaw type of team. And Forrest Whitaker is another one of the known names that I saw there, and in the trailer we get to see his face, and a whole bunch of other guys who seem to be, I don't know, maybe specialists at certain things, and that's how they kind of put the team together. But anyway, let's go shot by shot and start off in the beginning of the trailer, which we have a voiceover, somebody talking to Felicity Jones. Her character's name is Jyn Erso. And they're talking about how she's being kind of escorted into what looks like to be a rebel base, but she's got handcuffs on. So it's almost like they arrested her for something, maybe stealing or something, and they're kind of describing the charges of, blah, 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 you did this, you did that. And she's like, yeah, whatever, that kind of mood. What's cool is that right off the bat, we see the Tantive 4 style rebel soldier with that helmet, with the big Kirby helmet.
Yep.
He's the guy who's escorting her into an area where they're going to, I guess, interrogate her or something. Then we get one of the first great surprises. Mon Mothma is the one who's kind of interviewing her.
I'm reading that it's the same actress who played from the cut scenes of the Sith.
The prequels?
Yeah, but
she looks awesome. She looks amazing. I can't
confirm that, but if it is, she looks even better now because 10 years have passed since the filming of Revenge of the Sith.
She's looking
more
like
Jedi,
the
real actress. Yeah, so it's that era, she looks perfect for that era now.
And she sounds really like her too. It's so creepy how good it looks. And I think the setting, it looks a little bit like Force Awakens setting. It's got those radars with the green radar look, glowing green lights around. So it kind of looks like that universe. I'm not sure. They might have recycled some of those sets, to make it rebelish looking. Yeah. We then get a couple of shots of her, I believe, like fighting troopers. So you kind of, because they're basically describing her background or, what a thief she is and how come, we don't really like her that much.
And she's tough.
Right. It gives you off the bat that she's not a little wallflower. She's into getting her hands dirty and stuff like that. And they're kind of evaluating her. They're looking at her like to see, what is she all about? And they're about to hand her a possible mission. I mean, it might be one of those, like I said, Dirty Dozen type of deals of, we will not prosecute if you help us accomplish XYZ type of deal. And, you get that feeling. It did
feel like when they were reading off what she had done, like, and then it's like, yeah, okay, what do you think? I'm not, and her line is great. It's like, yeah, I'm not here for a cakewalk,
Then we get a shot of her traveling somewhere, which again, I guess it's the beginning of her mission. And then we get this awesome shot of a Star Destroyer with a star field in the background. Well, it's a star field, and then you notice the star field starts to move because it's a shadow, and behind it, instead of a star field, it's the lights from the Death Star. Then they pan out all the way, and you can see them inserting the dish portion into the actual Death Star with all these Star Destroyers all around it. And it's like, that looks so cool, that shot. And, we kind of get the fact that, okay, she's accepting the mission, and the preview tells you, this December. So, okay, we're on our way there. And I love this. They have the thematic Star Wars music all through this, but at this point,
it's very heavy.
Yeah, at this point, they put this alarm sound that I absolutely love. It's like alarm horns, like everybody's
getting ready to fly. It was the original one when the Star Destroyers were like in proximity with each other, or on the Death Star was ready to, when
to explode, and everybody's exploding around them. It's that kind of that klaxon horn sound. It works perfectly in this trailer. We're gonna obviously have this trailer, the audio portion of it as the beginning of today's show because it's so cool. So then you get, which looks like she's ready to go. She has somebody next to him who I guess is her handler or her contact, and a whole bunch of rebel soldiers getting ready to, I guess, board their ships. Then we get a shot of obviously a bad guy, a main bad guy in this film. He's not Mads Mikkelsen. He's another bad guy. He's dressed in white. I assume he's an Imperial Navy officer because from what I remember, the Navy is the one that wears white.
Yeah, and we saw guys wearing that. We saw, what's his name? He was...
Yularen ends up wearing it by the time we get to Star Wars.
Exactly. And so, and they... people wanted him to be from the books, Grand Admiral Thrawn or somebody like that. Now,
he's got a cape. He's got a white flowing cape.
But we've established there are a lot of other admirals and generals and commanders. It doesn't have to. Thrawn was somebody from the books, the EU books that came out many years after, and I think they're pretty much on hold right now. Maybe somebody will do homages to that, but I don't think that's going to appear anywhere in this. This is a separate entity.
I think what's also interesting is the fact that they are capable of tweaking the look of certain things. For example, in Star Wars, none of the officers wore any sort of capes or anything. Now, we know that in Star Wars, the inspiration for the Imperial uniforms are very Nazi-looking uniforms. And by the time we got to The Force Awakens, we got to see General Hux outside wearing what looked like one of those old Nazi leather cape trench coats that looks like a cape. Which kind of fits the motif for that style. Yeah. Now this guy, again, we see him wearing this kind of, I think it's a cape. It looks like a cape. So it makes him more, I guess it's the grand part of his admiralship or whatever the hell we want to call it. We get to see a whole bunch of shots of some of the other team members of her, encountering stormtroopers and that sort of thing. And we get a shot of Forrest Whitaker, who appears to be maybe not just a handler, but more of a mentor to her. And he kind of narrates a lot of what's happening during the rest of this trailer. And he's talking to her about, all the things she has to do and the violence and how, not to get caught up in it and blah, 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 and that sort of thing. We get a shot of another new trooper, which we kind of got some leaked art earlier, I believe, a few weeks ago, like a stormtrooper, but it's all black. I don't know if they're going to call it a shadow trooper, which I know the fans love the theory of the shadow troopers, but he looks different. He's got a snout, like a downward snout. It almost looks like a Vader concept drawing, if you remember the old McQuarries.
I feel like there was a Lego of that similar style, not the same character, but just had a face similar to that.
In Revenge of the Sith, there was the Kashyyyk trooper that has that snout.
Like that, yeah,
he's got that weird snout-looking thing. But there's quite a number I've seen here of different looking. I don't know if it's the same concept helmet. colored differently and the uniforms are colored differently, but I have noticed a couple of different trooper variations. This particular shot in the background, you see them, they just burned something up. It looks like a moisture evaporator in the background, and he's kind of looking left to right. Then you see a shot of what looks like some kind of marketplace. The stormtroopers, more like sand troopers, they have the pauldrons and the backpacks. They're escorting rebel prisoners, and they're rebel prisoners. They're wearing the X-Wing uniforms. They're all handcuffed together. Then you get a couple of shots of Jyn running with somebody and a droid next to her, like a tall droid. I don't know if she's running away from the droid or if the droid is part of her team.
I even saw Gonks in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah. That was back. Yeah, I saw the Gonks in the Rebel base in the beginning, but here they're being chased, it looks like, by a lot of different Stormtrooper variations. And like I mentioned earlier, there's the traditional Stormtroopers, but in between them, there's also these new ones. They look almost greenish, like the color of their uniforms. I guess it depends on the location of where they are. Then you get a quick shot of what looks like to be, I thought it was a swordsman, but it's like he's an Asian guy holding a bow, and he's about to get into a fight with a stormtrooper, not with a sword, but with a bow, and he kind of looks like he kicks his butt. Then you get a couple of quick shots of explosions and troopers shooting. Some kind of Imperial ship, could be a shuttle Tidarium looking-ish kind of ship, the very high wings exploding. Again, more fighting and that sort of thing. And then you see this admiral come back from the rear. You see him walking towards the aftermath of that battle, and his long flowing cape is like trailing in the water, and looks like he's there to assess the damage that they just suffered, I guess, at that point. Then you get a real cool shot that is going to be one of the most, I guess, speculative shots of this whole thing. There is a dark figure from the rear. You see him wearing a black hooded cape.
That's not Vader. That's Mikkelsen. That's
probably Mikkelsen. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's kneeling in front of what to me it looked like the carbon freezing chamber, because it had those hoses and stuff like that. But it looks like it's more of a communication place because there's royal guards.
You know what I thought it could be? It could have been a Bacta type chamber. I thought perhaps.
Oh, that's a possibility.
That's
maybe the Emperor's taking a shower.
Well, it is somebody. It is a big deal because those guards are there. So
they're royal guards. You know who has royal guards? Not Vader.
So maybe it is maybe the Emperor. I don't know. I'd like to get more people.
It's the Emperor's bathhouse.
It's somebody who's a big deal.
Yeah, but again, I'm not aware of royal guards guarding anyone but an emperor.
That's right.
So that's the big shot of the trailer there of the who the heck is that. Then we get more Forrest Whitaker, telling her to be careful about this sort of thing. You get another guy who looks like, again, if you guys seen the picture, that cast photo of the entire rebel side of the cast, you see a lot of these characters, these main specialists at something. And the guy seems to be running out of a building. And the next shot, again, another awesome shot, is what looks like to be they're storming a beach. And they're actually, doesn't look like they're storming a complex. It looks like they're exiting a complex, not entering a complex, but it's definitely, which is so cool because we haven't really seen this since Kashyyyk probably, it's a beachfront. There's palm trees, and amongst the palm trees, there's the AT-ATs. There's 3 AT-ATs shooting the rebels down as they're running.
It's your new home they're attacking.
It could be, for all we know. Palm trees and water. There's water there, and they're getting blown to bits. The rebels are flying all over the place. And then at one point, the camera tilts up to see the face of the AT-AT, and the AT-AT is kind of shooting towards you. So I know that's going to be a really cool shot when it comes in 3D, down the line. So the trailer basically concludes with another line from Whitaker talking to our lead. And he's telling her, what are you going to do if you continue to fight? It's almost like he's worried about her reaction to all these things she has to do, or her overreaction to being entrenched in so much violence and stuff because of what's happening. And he asks her, what will you become? And at that point, during this trailer, you get the last shot of the trailer, and that is our lead character. She turns around and she's wearing a TIE fighter pilot outfit. So I don't know if that's supposed to kind of put the bug in your head of, will she turn at the end?
And I thought you heard a bit of a sound of Vader-ish. Do you hear that?
I think it was doors opening and closing, the hissing of the doors opening and closing.
But it had a very
but it's probably
dark
there too.
feel.
I couldn't, because I could have swore I heard that Vader might be involved in this film at some
Do you want to know what I thought when I first saw that scene? Not that what she was going to become wearing the TIE Fighter pilot. What I have a feeling she might have either been a pilot or that was like an early scene and they just use it last to get us a little to question, or she's infiltrating wearing that outfit,
Exactly. That's what I think it's more likely. But the fact that they use the line, "What will you become?"
Well, yeah, because she could turn dark or however.
Right. I guess they want to. Now, let's keep in mind that there's a good chance. I don't know if they'll do it. That they could kill every single character in this movie.
And that's actually my hope. And I don't mean that in a way. I would rather it end dark because we never see most of these characters. As far as I know, other than Mon Mothma and stuff, we don't see these characters again. And
the main characters.
Yeah, wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't it be better that every one of them gets killed and that's the sacrifice? That's how serious and hardcore this world is leading up to what Luke and Han, because what we see is, they get to the Death Star, they do it, they escape, blah, blah, blah. But then it makes it more serious. Like, these guys everybody in this world is fighting for their lives. It's not just fortune and glory.
Yeah, exactly. And, you got to keep in mind, it is Disney, so they're not going to want to go completely nuts. But these are standalones. There are no official plans right now to continue with any of these stories. So you could say, in theory, that they could kind of have a life on their own, and then you move on away from these stories. So they might not need to have to go, further than what you see here. They don't have to kill all of them, but I wouldn't be surprised if you lose at least 3/4 of the good guys in this, because it's about basically the sacrifice these people make in order for the rebels to get their hands on, the plans. So it kind of has a really good potential. This is an excellent trailer. I mean, the music is all traditional music.
I was very impressed with the music. The original, everybody makes note of how great the music for the trailer was. That dink, dink, and then it dun, 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 dun.
Well, that was specifically made. Remember, John Williams specifically wrote the entire trailer cut, which normally nobody does that.
But what I'm saying is everybody has tried to re-edit various other properties to fit that style, and it blows people away every time. So this one had a lot to live up to grab our excitement, other than just images that we would love. But I think the reusing of the older music in a new style was really fantastic.
Oh, you have to. You gotta. Yeah. The composer for the actual film is Alexander Desplat. If you look him up, the man has done every conceivable thing.
He did Harry Potter.
He's done everything. The last and one of the I imagine one of the reasons they're using him also is because he also did Godzilla with the director, with Edwards, recently. So they do have a connection already that they've worked together. But again, wiki his name. Oh my God, it's ridiculous the amount of movies this man has done.
I know him. He has great Harry Potter music, and you look that up in some of the later Harry Potter movies. Really, really good stuff.
Well, again, overall, this is perfect. December is the day we're shooting for. This is great that we're getting these once a year. In a way, I like the fact that they're not going completely nutty Marvel in terms of 2 or 3 a year. Once a year may be a good pace. Maybe that's a good formula.
I know they have a lot to get to.
Yeah.
I can understand 2. I can understand some of the separate ones to set up some of the next ones, but it's starting to worry me. Pixar doing 2 worried me a little bit, and there was some backlash because The Good Dinosaur didn't really blow anybody away. It was one of the there were some missteps, as they call them, but that was one of the first. The Good Dinosaur was one of the first ones that didn't. Monsters Inc. still was made money, Monsters University, I should say, but this one, not quite up to snuff. And I hope that doesn't start happening with the Marvel ones. And then there was a story recently, what happens when Star Wars turns bad. Now, I think we're far away from that still. I think they're still pretty solid, but there is an element of movies that sometimes complacency sets in. They're like, all right, we just got to get it out. We got to get to the next one.
Oh,
and
I know.
I hope that doesn't happen, and I have a feeling that's not likely.
Yeah.
But the Marvel movies, some of them, we have to admit, some of them seem a little questionable. Like, some of them are great, but some of them I wonder, is there going to be as much demand? So,
well, this one, like I said, it's December. December 16th is the target date for the release. Obviously, you know how we feel about it.
and that's the perfect time of year. We love that, and I love it because it's Christmas. Everybody's generally in an excited mood. It's cold. You want to go, and you can go see it 10 times and not feel like you're like summer. Summer seems like I've got so many things to do. I've got to mow the lawn. The kids got to do this. Blah, 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 blah. So I can't see how this is a bad thing.
Since we're in the subject of Star Wars, let's wrap this up with a couple of quick little tidbits. We finished watching Rebels, the second season. The show is getting better and better.
Loved it.
I am just insanely crazy over the McQuarrie. I know that's me. I'm just a crazy one. But I love all the McQuarrie references. Most recently, they had the spider episode with those spiders that are McQuarrie-inspired spiders. They visited a Sith temple, which is, again, another one of these McQuarrie drawings from the early 80s when they were trying to come up with the art for Return of the Jedi. The big thing about the episodes, it's been leading up to this Ahsoka-Anakin confrontation where these two they know exactly who each other are, and she has to, confront them all the way to the end. We left it on a cliffhanger, which I'm pretty sure they're not going to kill her off. It's Disney again.
Yeah, I say Ahsoka is alive and in there and is trying to learn as much as she can to help somewhere down the line in the future. It just was, if she's going to die, they had to make it clear there's a dead body and Vader's, lording over it.
Yeah,
with,
I don't think you
his
do that.
lightsaber burning. This didn't have that. Everybody went to their separate corners for a little while. Some people got hurt, but everybody, okay, back to your corners.
Well, Kanan lost his sight, and he's kind of like a blind swordsman now, so that's kind of cool. I don't know how long they're going to keep that up for. A real cool little fact we found out that I never knew, we found out afterwards through one of the Filoni interviews, is that the Inquisitor, the first Inquisitor we saw in Season 1, he's actually a character that appeared on Clone Wars, which was like, holy crap, that's so cool. And he appeared multiple times as a Jedi Temple guard, right?
That's what they said. I'm not quite sure if that means anything to me because he's a minor character, but it's a nice little thing, I suppose. I was more interested in, what was going to come of Ahsoka, and we know what happens with Anakin.
I know you're not too crazy about the return of Darth Maul. I guess it's for the kids. The kids like the.
Yeah, he's a cool character and all, and I did like how they use him. It just strikes me a little bit as we killed that character in a pretty serious canon
many
movie.
ways.
That was a big deal. Yeah, that was a big deal. That was a main character killing a Sith Lord in a main movie, and they even make reference to it in I guess Sith when something about he's a Sith Lord, and and Obi-Wan says Sith Lords are our specialty.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like because he's killed. He's killed.
He's
one.
the Wile E. Coyote of the Star Wars saga. He just keeps falling off the ledge and coming back.
I'm okay with it because it's not like he's going to turn up in a some other kind of weird thing. So okay, here he is, and he is being used pretty cool, and he's not exactly at his peak, but he looked pretty
Another
good.
character that has returned to a more favorable reviews as far as we're concerned is Captain Rex. He's come back. He's the old, he's kind of like hanging out on the beach type of Captain Rex, old suntan and buff and stuff. It's with his buddies.
Yeah, I love him. He's a tough old guy. I love it.
What's funny? I don't think I mentioned this to you, but somebody on one of these Facebook pages I belong to says that Captain Rex is actually in Return of the Jedi because if you look at the
I
saw the picture of the guy with the white beard, and it's like if he takes off his clothes, it's Captain Rex.
That wasn't the first time I had seen that, and that's kind of funny, but I would have my doubts about that. It's just, I think it's cool that people like him so much that, he's welcome.
It's cool because
at first he was purely a Clone War character that they were trying to elevate to a big deal. And I was thinking when it first started, like, oh, this Captain Rex, he's created exactly just so they have their guy in these. And it turned out I liked him, and he was
in
pretty
a way
solid
you think about it, and it's like when you do create this myth of all these clones are clones and all they do is they do exactly what they're told. It's nice to see that, no, you don't have to be a clone. You don't have to be a drone. You can actually say no and do something different. And that's what they've done with the characters. They give you an example of here's a guy who was bred to be XYZ, but instead he's an ABC instead. So I guess it's like one of these moral lessons for kids who are watching the show and that sort of thing. And he's the perfect character because he was the one that Filoni created, and that was his character. Like let's make him special.
And remember, at first we thought there was a chance, Filoni might have been either in the back seat to
Yes.
Kinberg or whatever his name was, or somebody like that. Like, he was part of the team, but now it seems like he's got more control again.
I hope so. Because this way it unifies both shows. The last show, you almost got the feeling...
Simon's moved on to
you
other
almost
stuff.
got the feeling that the last show ended in a little bit of a sour note, kind of like somebody saying, all right, enough of this, shut it down, let's do something different. But it looks like these two shows are very well connected, not only stylistically, how they look and the influences, the McQuarrie influences that I love, but the characters now are kind of intertwined. They're continuing. These are major characters. Rex, Ahsoka.
We recently read, did you read that there was another arc or two or something? And did you read that story, how there would have been some, like, imagine if that final season did extend. They had some interesting plans past what we had heard, and I was impressed. Had you read?
I don't remember if I read this latest one, but I do remember
because they did a post-analysis with Filoni, and he said, "Well, this was something we had planned and stuff like that, but we basically got cut, so it never, we never got past. The other ones that we saw were already, in the pipeline.
Right. Some of them, some of them were digitized already. Some of them were voiced. Some of them were just animatics, and they did give us some of that material as bonus material or streamable material, and even books. I remember they wrote a few books based on stories. I don't know if I got them all yet, but the last thing I wanted to mention, just the last little, and I promise this is the last one, is that yesterday, Force Awakens came out on Blu-ray. It had already been floating around on the internet through first of all through internet releases, and then through questionable releases.
You had access to it that I watched.
I had quote unquote access to something, but there were some official releases that were like digital releases only, and then the actual disc came out yesterday.
That came out on about Friday. My family, my brother and his family I had bought it for them for Easter, and they were able to actually type in the code finally and see it. And then Monday I got mine. You got yours, I guess, Tuesday or Wednesday. So everybody in the world will have it by weekend. It'll be, we'll be infiltrated by the Force Awakens.
Yeah, in
a
way, you don't even need to. Like, depending on what you're interested, a lot of the deleted scenes are already on YouTube all over the place. People have been posting them left and right. That is the main thing about this movie.
You know what I made a reference to recently? Last year, at this time and as the year progressed, we were so excited about any little tidbit of The Force Awakens. And then it finally came out and we saw it. And some people saw it a lot of times. Some people saw it one or two like us. And now it's in our house a few months later. It's amazing how this process, how the machine keeps just ticking away, because it goes from the incredible buildup and anticipation and, oh my God, anything out there I want to see and analyze.
But that's the thing. We need to do what we've done.
Now, for the next 20 years, we'll have it in our at the tips of our
we need
fingers.
to do exactly what we've done with the other films, especially the original trilogy, and that is dissect the crap out of it. You watch it shot by shot, frame by frame, and you find new things. Oh, look at that. Remember, I texted you the other day. All of a sudden, this Constable Zubio that I love the figure, and then I got pissed off and I didn't buy it because he never made it to the film. Guess what? Somebody actually showed us where he is in the frame. There's actually two of them. It's like, oh, that's wonderful. So I went out there and bought him now this time. A lot cheaper than originally because nobody wants him. And it's like, it's such a cool concept, and they never bothered with him. So that's the kind of stuff that I love, finding out stuff that I never saw the first time. Heck, we still find stuff in Star Wars that, how many, 30, 40 years later? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we talked about how I didn't know Bosk was actually on
Jedi, on the sail barge.
On the sail barge, and people had constantly told me, and I just didn't see it with my own eyes until the HD stuff started showing up on TV. It's like, oh my God, there he is. He really is there.
It's ridiculous, but hopefully we'll have something like that with Force Awakens now. We have all this thing to go through and analyze and mine. You're data mining, basically. You're looking for little nuggets.
And I feel Rogue One is going to stick a number of things in there, whether it be sound related or actual images in the background of characters or styles of characters that we know from the original trilogy.
And remember, time-wise, this movie is the closest thing to the era of the original trilogy, because Force Awakens took place 30 years later. This probably takes place, a month or two before.
You can have that little bit of Rebels tie-in. You can have that little bit of a New Hope era tie-in.
Yep.
I don't think any Star Wars fan is going to be disappointed. You're not going to have Han and Leia and Luke, but you're not going to need them because what comes next is Han and Leia and Luke.
No. This is going to be a good one. I really hope so, and I think we won't get disappointed. But thank you, James, for joining me this early in the morning, and thank you guys for listening. And this was an unexpected little quickie show we put together, but we had to get it out there because we were just so excited. I woke up a little after 8, and this thing had already started hitting the internet like 10 minutes before I woke up. I grabbed it off my iPhone and I streamed it from the iPhone to the Apple TV so I could watch it in a big screen. And, you know, I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. I'm like welling up again when I was watching it, like I was with Force Awakens. It's like, what the hell is it with these stupid movies? They hit me and they hit me hard. So thank you guys, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Dink, dink.
What's a Mookie doing on Endor?